Jeff Kozak is the CEO of WhistlePig Whiskey. He's been the CEO since 2017 and been with the company since 2014. He also served as CFO and COO at the company. He was CEO of Maximum and built a number of brands there. He's a Diageo alum and a Beam Suntory alum. While rye whiskey has been around for literally hundreds of years, its resurgence, its growth, and popularity, I guess it's been the last 10 years or so. WhistlePig has been the leader and remains the leader in the top shelf high-end category. It's the most awarded rye whiskey in the world.
Right, so a little bit about myself because you gave me the intro, but I guess started back in Canada. I was a Canadian and I used to trade grain all the distilleries. So I visited Jack, Jim, and I'd sell them rye grain. Ended up working for Beam for a long time, and then I just kind of fell in love with the industry. Because you go there, they give you a bottle of whiskey. You go to a miller, they give you a loaf of bread, right? So a young kid, loved it. Ended up working for various companies. Lived in Chicago for a bit, and then I told my wife, hey, let's go to Vermont, because that's like the epicenter of craft distilling, right? So we show up there in the minivan. There's pigs on a farm, there's goats, there's sheep. And honest to God, the first week, all the pigs get out, and I'm wrestling pigs back into bins, right, or pens, and my kids are screaming from the minivan. And we are the only family that has a minivan in Vermont, right? Because they only have like Subarus or 4x4 trucks. So I've been there 6 years. I'm the CEO now. Here is the key learnings that I have from my last 6 years, right? And this is not marketing approved, so some of these topics are a little bit, dicey, but first mover advantage in blurring categories, really simple. I think that's one of the things that I learned right off the bat. The la-di-da name, and I see a couple of people here that might understand that. And then KISS, a couple guys already mentioned it, like keeping it simple is one of the keys. A guy named Dave Pickrell was obviously really key to our success. A little bit about innovation, and then don't forget where you come from. So we had the best advantage. It was 2007. There was nothing going on with premiumization, right? Rye was still unknown. Cocktail culture was emerging, and the only non-producer distillers were all very value for money, right? So we had the best chance. We were on the wave, right? And we even know we were on the wave. But the problem is we couldn't find any rye, right? There was no rye in the US. We actually had to go to Canada, and so that's where the rye first came from. And there was a little bit of bad press because probably the company didn't actually talk about it openly, and if they would have been off to a better start. But we ended up going and taking the best Canadian whiskey, right, which was straight rye whiskey, and selling that. And so that was the first whiskey in America that was sold over $50, right? So we got early on the wave, and we had to go find something else that nobody really thought was rye in that essence. La-di-da or sing-song name, right? The branding of WhistlePig was completed for $100, right? So all the money that's spent today, or the money we spend now on, new labels, it's incredible. So a kid at Middlebury College, which basically means it's the most expensive college in, I think, from a liberal arts perspective, and you're basically unemployable if you get out of it. We gave him $100, and he put together this label, right? Winston Churchill, dressed as a pig, smoking something. I don't think it's a cigar, I don't think it's a cigarette, right? But that's early days in the company, right? Everybody tells me this is wrong. There's so many bad things on this label. There's 8 fonts, none of them are consistent, right? But somehow it was the widest label on the shelf and people could find it. And it was a la-di-da name. It was a sing-song name. And that's one of the things, I think it was an old colleague, and he goes, when you say it, WhistlePig, 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 you can say it and it kind of rolls off your tongue. So I think one of the keys, if you can't pronounce it or you can't remember it, then you can't call it at the bar. And I believe in that. And any new name we come up with, we're kind of trying to hedge away from anything that's double wood, triple wood. Some things got to be unique in that name or that brand call. And we did avoid the dead guy trap, right? Where it's like sometimes, you feel like you want to put a piece of history on this brand. But we were new. We were a bunch of kids trying to figure out how to do this. And if we would have picked the Green Mountain Boys in Vermont, which was possible, right? Because there was some history there. I don't know if it would have translated as well. So the la-di-da sing-song name, KISS, one broom, one skew. So when I first got to Vermont, they were bottling on a picnic table, right? And there was a broom on the side of the room. And on the broom, it was wrapped in basically saran wrap that you used to wrap the cases as they went out the door. And I'm like, so what's that for? They're like, well, we rouse the whiskey in the morning, and then we wrap the broom with saran wrap, and then, that's the total. That's one broom for rousing, one broom for sweeping, right? And I think about that all the time. That's how simple our business was. We had one SKU. It was 10-year rye, right? Nobody was confused. We had only 50 accounts in every metro center, and one metro center was the Vermont Farmers Market, right? That was the metro center for Vermont, right? One farmer market, New York, Chicago, LA. Everybody got $500. That was your account support if you were a steward, and we had 5 stewards, and that was their total spend for the month. And it was menu and cocktails, and we could walk pigs, and that was truly our only tools. It was super simple, and that was your options. You go to an account, talk to a bartender, spend, or you call for the pigs, and we'd walk pigs. There was 2 pigs named Mauve and Mortimer, and they had leashes, and they did go to Occupy Wall Street, and they did go to Fashion Week. Dave Pickerel. So Dave, basically, I used to work with Dave when I worked at Beam. He was obviously the Master Distiller Maker's Mark. He passed away late this fall. He was an icon, right, in the community. He was, I think, everywhere. He did not have a home. He had a suitcase, right? And he did really build the brand. Respecting innovation. This is our current product lineup. The labels kind of changed, so maybe the pig's not smoking something, right? We have stayed consistent. There's a 10, there's a 12, there's a 15. There's Scotch Qs. There's now a 6-year-old, which I'm going to talk about. But it's pretty simple. We're not anywhere that we shouldn't be. It seems logical. I was talking to a mezcal company today, and I was like, oh, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's colors on the labels. I'm like, I get that. I'm in the industry, right? And I feel like sometimes we've got to keep it super simple. And I think so far we've done it. And I think that's just been a little bit about respecting innovation. I think that's been a key for us. Next one. Yeah, don't forget where you come from, right? So the last product that Dave kind of played a significant role in was our new product called Piggyback. And we just launched this in a couple new markets in Florida and Illinois. It's 6 years old. It's got a la-di-da name, so we're back to like Piggyback, and people can remember it. And it's early days. We don't know if we'll be successful, but I think we're just kind of staying with that same key flow. And so when we go out, it's back to, it's all about the bartenders, and it's industry launches, it's bar takeovers. We might have, $1,500 a month, but nothing's really changed, right? And it's still about, now it's not pigs on leashes, it's pigs in little pens, in the metro areas. And, human POS. I talked to a guy at Red Bull, and he's like, how's the brand doing? He goes, how many tattoos do you have of pigs? And like, that was what he was trying to determine whether we actually had buy-in. And I think that's true, right? You do get that real buy-in when you start to see things like that. That's really it. Those are the keys for WhistlePig. I don't think they always translate, and I know there's not 4 keys or 6 keys or 7 keys, but that's kind of what worked for us. And I think if we continue to be successful, we'll stay in that same vein and not deviate. So if you see products that are WhistlePig that don't feel authentic, give me a call and say, hey, it doesn't have a la-di-da name, right? It's not age declared, or something else is going on that doesn't feel like it's WhistlePig, right? So that's my little spiel.